Hello and welcome to the Rare Record Room. I've been collecting vinyl for around 40 years now. I was buying records in the late 1970s and during the 80s through to the 90s and beyond, when records were no longer in vogue and proved rather difficult to find. My collection is mostly guitar-based music from the 50s through to the 90s, covering rock and roll, through rhythm and blues, beat, psychedelia, rock, soul, funk, punk and new wave, pop and Britpop. It comprises around 2,500 records, mostly LPs, although there's a few hundred 7-inch singles, EPs and 12-inch singles. Most original pressings or unusual versions, and my aim in these videos is to show some of the more interesting that I have, or at least the ones I find interesting. If you do too, please feel free to hit the like button and check out my other videos. Having previously described the Troggs recordings during 1966, which is a video you may wish to check out, today I shall be turning my attention to the group's UK output during 1967. There were no changes in personnel, so the lineup remained as Reg Presley on lead vocals, Ronnie Bond on drums, Pete Staples bass guitar and Chris Britton on lead guitar. Their first single of the year was called Give It To Me, released in February and peaking just outside the top 10 in the British singles charts. This was issued on Page One Records, and like many of the label's singles pressed at this time, was available with a solid or a push-out centre. This was followed by another UK top 20 single, Night of the Long Grass, in June. The band's first LP release of the year was Trogglodynamite, which is listed in some guides as being released in 1966, but it was actually issued on February the 10th, 1967. It may well have been recorded in the latter half of 1966. This was a departure from the garage rock sound of their debut LP From Nowhere, instead leaning towards the then fashionable Baroque pop. It was an odd mix of quirky original songs and some rather lacklustre covers of classic rhythm and blues songs such as Chuck Berry's Little Queenie and Bo Diddley's Hey Mona, which was fine for beat groups in 1964 or thereabouts, but somewhat behind the curve in 1967 and The Summer of Love. In spite of this, the LP charted quite high, reaching number 7 in the NME album chart in March. Copies are valued at £70 for mono pressings and £90 for stereo. That's for decent examples according to the Rare Record Price Guide. The Troggs' next UK single was Hi Hazel, which had been recorded by Geno Washington and the Ram Jam Band only a year earlier. The Troggs version sadly only scraped into the UK top 50 in July 1967. They bounced back in fine form, however, with their final single of 1967, with the top 5 hit Love Is All Around. This single and its B-side, When Will the Rain Come, were taken from the Troggs' second and final studio LP of the year, called Cellophane. This LP was steeped in Baroque pop and bubblegum pop, without an R&B cover in sight. Perhaps they'd learned from the previous record. 10 of the 12 tracks were group or solo compositions from band members, with Reg Presley contributing 6 songs and Ronnie Bond writing 2 songs. The LP closed with Presley's anthemic song Love Is All Around, although it was given a bold top billing on the front cover, probably to attract record buyers. This marketing ploy didn't work, however, and upon release in December 1967, Cellophane failed to make the UK album charts. As a result, this album is less common than their previous 2 studio LPs, with copies in mono currently valued at £80 in the Rare Record Price Guide, and the marginally more elusive stereo versions commanding a price of £90 for decent copies. And with that, we've reached the end of my brief rundown of the Troggs' British releases during 1967. That's your lot for this episode from the Rare Record Room. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did like the video, please make sure you subscribe to the channel to see more and to receive notifications for any new uploads. Thanks for watching. See you next time.